Everybody, welcome back to the episode of RevTalks. I'm Patrick here, joined with Apurva. How's it going today?
Going well. How are you?
Doing pretty well. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to actually jump on RevTalks. Would you mind giving us a little high-level overview about Optimly and what you guys do over there and how you guys kind of operate?
Yeah, so I'm founder and CEO of Optimly. We help brands manage their reputation in AI models, which means we help them show up in AI search and make sure that they can use AI search as a high converting source of leads. I've been in tech for about 15 years. I started out at Microsoft, also launched AR/VR products at Meta, was most recently at Discord, and have kind of been at the forefront of these platform shifts and figuring out how to leverage them as someone who's launched a lot of products and kind of these new platforms. And so I was really excited to be building a similar solution to connect buyers and sellers through AI.
Oh, I like that. And so you were kind of at some of the top even softwares and even spaces around as well. Oh, sorry about that. I was getting a call. I'll cut that out though in the actual recording. Can you kind of talk briefly about your experience with Discord? I'm just curious because obviously Discord is somewhat of a larger kind of software. A lot of the gaming community uses that. I've used that myself for a while. Kind of talk briefly about that with your experience because I'm actually pretty curious about that.
Yeah. So I was at Discord for about 3 years. I wore a number of hats, but yeah, did product strategy, marketing research, product marketing, and basically help the team figure out how to reposition and go back to gaming post pandemic. For a while we had explored broadening the appeal of Discord to more general audiences and growing that way. And while there was some interest in terms of how we would have done that, I think what we ultimately found is that the vast majority of Discord users, 90+% of Discord users, play games. And that's why they're using Discord as kind of the social layer, as it were, for their gaming communities and gaming activities online. And so, did a couple of things there. One, we refreshed and redid our brand to kind of bring our value proposition back to the gaming audience that we know and love so much, and that loved us. And the other thing that I worked on there was launching rewards-based advertising on Discord. So, Discord, when I joined, really only made money through Nitro, which is a subscription product, and that continues to do well. But we saw again over time that there was a interest in like a solo experience on Discord. People wanted something to do when their communities weren't active. And then on the flip side of that, the gaming industry as a whole, they were looking for new distribution channels, particularly studios and publishers that maybe didn't have live services and ways to kind of reach gamers in other ways and through other channels. And so we started piloting advertising quests as an activity for a Discord user to do on that platform, while also giving the game studios and advertisers like another medium to which to find new gamers, players for their games.
I like that. I know a decent amount of people that have used obviously Nitro with Discord and obviously communities to host. I know WAP is a big competitor of those two. I'm not sure if you heard of WAP. They're obviously getting up there with the community. I noticed on the website, so you have obviously intent map, scout, and things like that. Can you kind of talk briefly about what those kind of features have to actually do, those different plans within the actual software? How do those kind of come into play? And what exactly is the end user's experience if they were to purchase a scout plan or subscribe to another?
Yeah, so the way that I think about Optimally is that it's providing you with better data and insights on how the market sees your brand through the eyes of AI. Because the thesis here is, as we move to a world where people are increasingly using AI and how they interact online, agents are going to start to, do buyer research and make decisions on behalf of your customers. And so, one, you need to understand how AI sees your, content about you online, whether that's your website or how you show up on Reddit. So that's like the core of our product. It's called Brand Audits and Brand Vault. And when you create an Optimum account, you set up a vault with all of your brand's information, and then you run reports against that brand vault to understand how AI sees you relative to how you want to be seen. And where there's gaps and deltas, we feed that data into Scout, which is our Claude connector. And you use Scout along with Claude to generate reports give you specific recommendations on what you need to fix on your website from like a website optimization perspective, or what you need to be doing off your website to make sure that AI is picking up the right information about you and can recommend you to the right customer at the right time. So it's kind of end to end. We do the measurement and monitoring piece, and we help you manage your source code on your brand's information in Brand Vault. And then we have this connector with Claude to kind of plug all that data into your existing marketing and content workflow.
Okay, nice. And so that obviously is offered as sort of a lower ticket software as a SaaS. Do you guys have implementations in like mid-market or maybe upper market and maybe provide that as like an actual service? Because obviously I know a lot of your focus right now might be put on the actual scaling of the lower ticket model. Have you guys thought about implementing that into like an actual service delivery or something, or is the main focus like just strictly on building MRR and like really scaling it up as like a traditional SaaS?
Yeah, so I would answer that two ways. One, we're investing in building out kind of the self-serve mechanism of the product that I described, but we are also engaging in this partnerships model where we would work with perhaps an agency or a bigger brand to manage that brand using Optimly's platform. So with an agency, for example, they might white label our solution. To serve the brands that they work with and optimize their customers' websites or content. And then we would charge a certain amount for that to kind of, and then they could also, the other thing we would do with them is rev share. So because they're an agency model, they would share revenue for the brand that they're working with, along with kind of a flat platform fee that they would pay us.
Okay, I see. So this could work as an agent implementation towards like, I mean, for instance, for us, like Inbox Rev, we do customer profile research on behalf of our clients and customers, right? So it's like we would use the actual software and the actual solution to be able to do market research for our customers to then market on behalf of them. Is that kind of am I following it or am I totally off track?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. And then on top of that, for your customers, if they want to stay on top of their messaging or the type of content that they send out in their outbound, that's something that you could manage on the Optimally platform as well. And it would update as, your competitors changed and as like the market changed, all that data would feed back into your brand vault. You'd be able to update your own positioning and messaging there.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that's very interesting. I talked to a lot of software companies and even lower ticket SaaS and things like that, and like very impressive because I like the vertical you guys have with that. I think that serves a larger market, and I think obviously the market with obviously AI, agentic things like that, that market is a lot more tough because there's a lot of like huge tech backed companies. I mean, not saying this you guys aren't, but there's a lot more competition, right? It's like outreach with my industry as well that we're in, and so it's like well, what other verticals do you have to where that's an unfair advantage? And for you, it's like, okay, well, we can really implement this into agencies. So I think that's very cool. I like that. That's very impressive. As of right now, are you guys having a larger customer base right now? Or are you guys mainly attending different events, trying to get the word out there? Are you guys running outreach campaigns or running ads or doing content? Or what's kind of the strategy you guys have to acquire more customers?
Yeah, so a lot of it is we, dog food optimally for our own, content marketing and getting inbound and kind of building an inbound engine around content and around getting discovered in AI search. We kind of have to dog food our own product and show that it works for us, which I'm happy to report that it does. We get, I would say, one, maybe two inbounds per week. And increasingly, we're finding that people are finding us in AI search or they're vetting us in AI search. So that's, one engine that works for us. And then we also do traditional outbound, largely on LinkedIn because that's where the content is. As the founder of the business, I'm kind of leading with founder-led content since our initial sales engine was founder-led sales, but we're now bringing on some help there as well. So yeah, those are kind of the two sources of leads, inbound that we get from content that we produce, and people finding us in AI search, and outbound that we're doing largely through LinkedIn DMs.
Okay, I see. So people are seeing you organically, and I assume this is on LinkedIn, correct? Not YouTube or any other socials, just mainly LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, yeah.
Okay. And then obviously do you know where the people are coming from in terms of the AI search? Is that like chat or Claude or just all the LLMs or like is there a specific kind of do you know what the exact traffic source with that?
Yeah, so again, this is like self-reported because by the time they make it onto a call with me, it's like, "Okay, how did you find us?" ChatGPT and Claude are the main ones.
I see. And so I guess they're actively prompting chat and Claude about ways to actually get in front of their own customers and you guys pop up as sort of a solution to try them or to demo. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that I don't know exactly like the query that they're asking. They often don't remember themselves, but having obviously used our own platform for to run buyer simulations and conversations in these agentic platforms, Optimally gets recommended when a buyer is actively looking to figure out their messaging positioning or manage their brand reputation in some way. We often get surfaced alongside, traditional brand monitoring tools like Brandwatch, which is like a social listening platform, or as an alternative to, um, AEO Geo, newer AEO Geo tools, with the caveat that our focus is really more on brand messaging and positioning versus those tools are kind of SEO 2.0.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And in terms of growing the actual software and the business itself, what's been a challenge recently you guys have faced that you're dealing with every single day and things like that was one of the biggest challenges?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge as a founder is always prioritization. You're context switching all the time, wearing so many different hats. There's only so many hours in a day. And so constantly kind of figure out, well, should I be investing more in the product right now? Or should I be thinking about like new verticals expansion, current customers? I think that's a constant challenge and one that I'll never really get good at. I think I always feel a little bit behind on.
And so balancing tasks, things like that. Are you currently working with a team of developers? Do you have sales people on your team? What does that kind of look like right now for you?
Yeah, yeah. So we're growing. We have an engineering team, divided focus, a small team that works on just R&D and improving our understanding of these LLMs and agentic systems. Because if we can't understand them, then we can't help our customers. And then we have two engineers that are working on the actual product. And then on the go-to-market sales side, it was just me. I was doing everything, and we recently brought someone on to help with the outbound LinkedIn strategy that I mentioned and onboarding someone this week to help with kind of BD partnerships, some of the higher value, like enterprise mid market deals that we have in our pipeline.
I like that. And so it sounds like you guys have a good kind of operation moving forward and everything. I mean, what's kind of next steps for you guys in terms of goals? What are you guys kind of looking to do? Is some of the priorities you guys are looking at really ranking high on AI search and kind of that being really dominating in that respect? Or are you guys more founder led content on LinkedIn? And one thing we're trying to push right now is more founder led content because that obviously helps as a huge funnel. We do a lot with outreach, as I mentioned before the podcast. So that's another huge acquisition source as well. It's one of our main ones. What's kind of the objective and priority for you guys?
Yeah, I think for us, it's really more on the customer success, delivery, and revenue standpoint. It's about closing the deals and closing deals in our pipeline quickly in a way that we can scale and kind of support them long term. I think when you're in a business where you're looking at recurring revenue, right, that's kind of like the main goal. Preventing churn and keeping customers happy is huge. And so the next hire that we probably will make is one around customer success and just making sure our current customers want to renew, they're excited to use all the new features that we're shipping, and they're getting value out of the platform as a whole.
Same. And that's actually funny because we're looking at the exact same objectives too on our end. I think I was watching Alex Ramosi, one of his videos, and he was briefly mentioning about how the faster you can get your customers tangible results that are obviously reported back to you, the longer their stick. Those quick win type of things are really important, especially in today's marketplace. And there's a lot of different tools, and obviously there's a lot of different agencies and outreach agencies, things like that. So it's really important to really solidly deliver on that. And with that being said, what are kind of some ways you guys are going about that, giving customers maybe quick wins or faster wins or more tangible wins, or ways that customers can actually feel really happy with the actual software itself?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think listening to your customers all the time is super important from like product perspective, go to market perspective, sales. I mean, a happy customer makes a great case study. A great case study builds your pipeline or helps you close your pipeline, right? So that's kind of always been our focus is spending time with our current customers, seeing how they're using the product and how can we improve the experience of the platform to meet them where they are. Scout is a great example. So when we originally built the platform, we launched with the brand monitoring tool, run AI brand audits and kind of see where there's gaps in your visibility across these queries. And we were in the process of fully automating here's like the fixes or things that you need to do to improve your AI visibility as part of the product. What we noticed about a month in is that our customers that were testing the fixes product were copy and pasting a lot of the recommendations into Claude. And we were like, oh, well, we got curious, right? We could have said, hey, do we need to just like figure out how to move them to our platform? But we got curious and started asking why. And The result of all of that was building Scout, which is an integration with Claude that our customers are super happy with, but it was solving the thing that they weren't able to do before, this like copying and pasting of data and context between the Optimly platform and elsewhere into Claude. And so now Scout is a very, very powerful tool because it's bringing to their existing content marketing workflows all the data on the Optimly platform, plus all of this like brand and market intelligence that lives on AI brand directory. And so I think that's kind of how, like, going back to your original question, right? You got to listen to your customers and then figure out like how do you meet them where they are in a way that is solving a real problem in an ongoing way.
That makes a lot of sense. And in terms of implementation with Scout for, say, an agency that's maybe doing lead generation outreach like us, would you say probably the best use case or actual ability to use Scout would be taking a, say, a customer onboarding form as soon as they sign with you about their customer profile, who they go after, things like that, because we're obviously doing the marketing for them, and push that into Scout, and then Scout goes and actually takes that data, goes out to the marketplace, and says, hey, this is good. Why would that be a lot better than, say, prompting Claude itself, or prompting ChatGPT, or prompting some LLM to go out there and like do the market research?
Yeah, that's a great question. Two reasons. And yes, you could. And again, we were seeing that our customers were trying to do this on their own, and it was like crawling over broken glass. They were trying to get ChatGPT and Claude to produce this brand and market research, but the problem was is that they wouldn't. They'd ask the same question, and they'd get like three different responses, depending on the day and the context of the question, and they weren't able to kind of get like a neutral response from ChatGPT or Claude. This makes sense because when you're logged in, it's going to look at all of your past context and conversation history, and it's going to tell you what you want it to hear, not like objective fact, because it's also not grounded in any sort of data. And so our solve for this was to build the AI brand directory. It's one of a kind data set that doesn't live anywhere else, and it tells you Claude or via Scout what the market looks like for SaaS tools as an example. Who are all the players? Who do they compete with? It's providing like all of this underlying brand and rich brand entity data relationships about who all the players are, who they compete with, who their customers are. Um, and so, that's why that kind of brand and market intelligence is better with Scout. The second piece around, providing Claude and ChatGPT with context about your specific brand, your customers, customer testimonials, case studies. Before, our customers were having to copy and paste all of this information and constantly keep it up to date in a Claude MD file. And so instead, now they use Scout, and Scout just calls Brand Vault, which is where all of that data is constantly housed and kept up to date. And so it makes that workflow a lot easier. Instead of having to go in and update your Claude projects or Claude MD files, just go to Brand Vault, and we'll continue to make it easy to update in Brand Vault. So for example, we are exploring integrations with note-taking tools in Brand Vault so that you can connect Brand Vault to, let's say, Notion. Notion has a note taker, and your Brand Vault will automatically ingest all of your, sales customer calls, sales conversations, and it'll update your Brand Vault accordingly. Think of it as like a GitHub repo, and then that information will get fed into, Scout and into your Claude conversation. So you can just talk to Claude about, hey, how should I prep for my next call, and like what kind of messaging and positioning should I use based on, the update, the market landscape, what my competitors are saying, and the feedback I got from customers last week.
That's really cool. That makes a lot of sense. For someone who actually has, say, somebody is a first time user who has starting to get a decent amount of data, whether it's through Fathom or note takers and Notion and things like that, maybe they don't have that much data versus somebody that has hundreds of hours of sales calls, conversations, customer calls, reporting calls, things like that. You're actually able to upload all of those into the vault, or is it charged by usage and it's going to be like $2,000 to input everything and things like that? Or how does that kind of work for the actual implementation?
Yeah, yeah. So that feature we tested with our beta users. They really loved it, but they were still copying and pasting transcripts. And now we're exploring this integration piece. Pricing is TBD, but what I will say is like just having tested it with our beta users, they found it to be really, really useful to kind of combine that call transcript history with the other brand data that I mentioned and everything from brand directory. Scout is just able to make Claude that much smarter when it's pulling from all of those data sources.
Oh yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. Well, I appreciate you jumping on. Where in the internet can we find you? What is obviously the website once again, and then your LinkedIn too.
Yeah, you can find us at optimally.ai, and you can try out, what the audit looks like. You can actually look up your brand profile at optimally.ai/brand. Your brand might be in the directory already, or you can add it to the directory and kind of see, get like that free audit done for you. And you can also claim your profile for free. which I recommend. Think of it as like claiming your Yelp profile as a business. Our brand directory is crawled like third, I think we get 30,000 hits from crawlers per week, including retrieval agents that are getting information to serve up in ChatGPT. So we'll put that offer out there. And then, yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I can share the link with you after, Patrick. And I have a newsletter as well. So if you're interested in just kind of like getting the latest research on how all of this works, or just my thoughts as a marketer navigating this AI first world. It's called Signal to Noise.
I appreciate you jumping on and taking some time out of your day, and hope you have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.